Chairman, ministers and deputy ministers who are here, the member of the Executive Council of the Western Cape for Economic Opportunities, Ms. Beverly Schaefer, members of the Young Presidents Organization, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great honor to address this important dinner tonight, a dinner of accomplished business leaders and their spouses from across the globe. And I'm told that there are some 93 countries that are represented in this conference that you are having. Welcome to beautiful South Africa, and especially to our mother city. Cape Town is the most beautiful coastal city in the world, and we call her the mother city for a whole host of reasons. And I'm sure you've all felt the motherly warmth of Cape Town already, so you are most welcome. We are pleased that you chose South Africa as the host of your conference, your leadership conference. It is my pleasure to welcome all CEOs and other business leaders who are here, but more especially to welcome a very special CEO, a CEO of an enterprise called Rwanda Incorporated, and that's President Paul Kagame, very special CEO. It is my hope that you will use the opportunity when you are here in Cape Town to learn more about our country, but also to learn about our continent from direct observation and engagement with all of us. The Young Presidents Organization represents a significant body of opinion in business all over the world. You are holding your conference at a time when the investment environment around the world remains challenging and uncertain. On the global scale, it is said that the key risk is that global GDP growth has peaked, with the G7, the Eurozone, and China growth expected to dip into 2020. As global growth appears to be weakening, the trade tensions continue between the US and China, and we hope that they find a solution soon. Political risk is increasing in both developed and emerging markets. And there are also other new challenges. Debt levels are increasing in a number of areas, both in government as well as in the corporate world. So these are conditions that are tightening, and there are issues that we need to be addressing on an ongoing basis, because monetary conditions are becoming tight, and short-term, as central banks are also becoming a little bit hawkish. What about Africa? The African Development Bank says that the medium-term growth in Africa is projected to accelerate to 4% in 2019. And though lower than China's and India's growth, Africa is projected to be higher than that of other emerging and developing markets. The World Bank's report on the prospects for the growth in Africa says that the numbers that are being bandied around really belie the enormous diversity that is to be found in Africa, and that a number of countries on our continent are showing impressive growth prospects. Ethiopia is on a track to have nearly the highest GDP growth rate in the world, and several other economies like Tanzania, like Kenya, Rwanda, and Ghana are growing at rates over 6%, a number on par with that is on par and higher than China's growth. These countries as we look at them as fellow sister countries on the continent, we see them as torchbearers for Africa's economic growth, as they are also successfully attracting global capital through the progressive policies that they have embarked upon. And we are very proud that we have a class of countries on our continent that are taking a number of other countries along with them, as we all seek to emulate them, we all seek to see what they are doing best and also try to copy them. This conference that you are having here is taking place at an important and opportune moment in the history of our own country, South Africa. South Africa has entered a period we call a period of renewal, a period of unity. We say this because we've emerged and are emerging from a difficult period, not only of poor economic performance, but also a period where public trust in state institutions and low investor confidence were the order of the day. We have been forthright in acknowledging the effects of corruption and what we describe as state capture on our economy, on our institutions, and generally on our people. We have taken decisive steps to bring an end to state capture. We have taken also a decisive step to bring corruption to an end, to rebuild our law enforcement agencies so that we can end corruption and obliterate it to the dustbin of history, and also bring to an end the mismanagement of our state-owned enterprises and to ensure greater policy coherence in our economy and in our public institutions. Now, as we work to correct these mistakes and missteps of the past period, we are focusing on lifting economic growth and creating jobs. We have embarked on an ambitious investment drive with a target of $100 billion of new investment over the next 5 years. And as a result of these efforts, South Africa is firmly on a path of growth and renewal. We draw strength and encouragement from our partners within the global business community, and some of our partners are amongst you here, and we thank you for being our partners, because you want to see South Africa succeeding. You want to see this country that has had a horrible past being successful. Each time I talk to President Paul Kagame, he always says, South Africa must never fail. We want South Africa to succeed, because that is the store of the hopes of many people also on the continent. Now, we are also heartened by the many companies, both local and international, who see South Africa as a country alive with opportunity. We are well aware of the deep social and economic challenges our country faces, including widespread poverty, unemployment, and also inequality. Yet we are not daunted by these challenges, nor complacent about the difficult work that needs to be done to overcome them. As we build a new future for the people of our country, we look to our past for both perspective as well as inspiration. South Africa is a diverse and, as I said, beautiful country with a resilient people and a proud history of struggle against injustice. Even in the darkest days of apartheid, our people never ever gave up, and they never gave up hope. In part, they never gave up hope because they knew that they had the support of many billions of people around the world who were abhorred by the racist policies of our past government. So in our having hope and never giving up that hope, we knew that we were well supported by many people around the world, and people on our own African continent gave us support in many, many ways, material, political, and otherwise. With greater determination to achieve a durable constitutional democracy, which they achieved 25 years ago. Just as they defeated an iniquitous system of racial oppression, the people of South Africa are today acting in concert to address the social and economic legacy of that system. They are working together to build an inclusive economy, an economy that benefits all South Africans, irrespective of the circumstances of their birth. We are here this evening to invite you to become our partners on this journey of inclusive growth, which will create employment, reduce inequality, and offer business a meaningful opportunity to make a positive impact in society. We are also inviting you to invest in a South Africa that is world-class infrastructure, hosting the largest cluster of air and maritime transportation companies on the African continent. We have the most advanced ICT infrastructure in Africa, with internet and personal computer penetration being the highest in the region. Many companies are attracted by the relative cost of doing business in South Africa, underpinned by the availability of skilled labor, a supportive operating environment, and a highly sophisticated banking system. We are determined to further improve the ease of doing business in South Africa and have set ourselves the target of being within the top 50 countries ranked in the World Banking Doing Business report within 3 years. That's what we are aiming to try and achieve. We are currently ranked at 82 out of 190 countries. So within 6 years, President Kagame, we are determined to catch up with Rwanda. It's wonderful to have a top-performing country on our continent like Rwanda, because we can emulate them. We can learn from what they are doing, but they also have an added problem. So we say, wake up and keep going, because we are going to catch up with you. In doing all this, we realize that yes, it will take an extraordinary effort by the social partners in our country, from government, departments and agencies to business and trade unions. Yet extraordinary efforts will be required if we are to create jobs at a rate that our people need to lift themselves out of poverty. One of the most important requirements for economic activity is the reliability of affordable energy. Now, South Africa has been experiencing electricity shortages in recent years as our energy utility has faced severe financial and operational difficulties. It was also, admittedly, also subjected to state capture, and some of the challenges that we are having to deal with is the way it was captured by business interests to serve their own purposes. We have embarked on a series of immediate measures to stabilize the electricity grid, to ensure that our electricity utility can meet its financial obligations, and also to restructure the utility to make it more efficient, transparent, and accountable. And we're seeking to benchmark it with a number of other utilities around the world which have been able to address the challenges that they have faced in the past. And through these efforts, we are certain that we can ensure security of energy. We're also working to drive growth both by expanding our export capacity and increasing local demand in our goods. We've established a number of special economic zones that are directed towards the export market. And importantly, companies can benefit from the proximity of related value chains and industrial and logistical infrastructure if they participate in these zones. And as a support mechanism to potential investors across the country, government has put in place an attractive package of incentives. And they support a number of initiatives that these companies seek to embark on. And there are a number of other opportunities in sectors that range from green energy, and we've been the leading country in renewable energy on the continent with regard to using solar, wind, and other renewable energy mechanisms. There are also great opportunities in agriculture which we are pursuing. Now, South Africa also has extensive capabilities in science and technology with research institutions that are doing fantastic pioneering work in a broad range of disciplines, and has constructed, and some of you may know that just 500 kilometers north of this mother city, we have the Square Array, a telescope, the radio telescope, the largest in the world, where we're working in conjunction with a number of countries, especially Australia, as well as the UK. We're working to develop the skills of our people that they need to harness their participation in the fourth industrial revolution. Now, investment is crucial to enable us to access new technologies and approaches that merge the physical, digital, and biological worlds. One of the most exciting developments in recent years, which happened during President Paul Kagame's chairship of the African Union, was the adoption by African leaders of the agreement to establish an African Continental Free Trade Area. Now, this free trade area is going to have almost 1.2 billion people as a market, where Africa will now be integrated, where Africa will be trading with itself, where Africa will be buying and selling goods amongst the various countries, and where the borders that even exist on the African continent with regard to goods and services will begin to melt away. But where, for instance, trade will possibly go up to $2 trillion, and that is the market that is opening up, not only for Africa, but also for would-be investors from outside the African continent. Now, in the past decade, Africa has grown at a rate of 2 to 3 percentage points faster than the global GDP. The growth of African economies has been supported by increasing foreign trade, investment flows, and also skills that we've been acquiring. Now, the establishment of this free trade area will create this huge market. This is in the context of the expectation that Africa's working age population is likely to double to 1 billion in the next 24 years, surpassing, in terms of working population, both China and India. This is no doubt a matter of great interest to yourselves as the YPO, which has expanded its presence in Africa in recent years, with over 700 members on the African continent, with 21 chapters across the continent. Now, I would add what many other people have been saying, that Africa is indeed the next frontier of global growth. It has vast untapped potential and a huge appetite for investment. We encourage you to explore the opportunities that exist not only in South Africa, but also across the continent. Now, I want to conclude by voicing my appreciation for the emerging perspectives of the members of your organization, which were expressed, as I believe, in the YPO Global Leadership Survey, which was released in January this year, which said that an overwhelming 93% of YPO affiliate CEOs believe that business must play a greater role in making a positive impact on society for the benefit of the people. Now, I applaud this because this perspective has led me to think of 5 tasks that I believe the YPO family needs to be preoccupied with, seeing that the majority of your members believe that business should make an impact on society for the benefit of all the people. I believe that business should adopt a contrarian posture to Milton Friedman's maxim that said that the business of business is business. The business of business should not just be business. Focus on profits alone should not be the yardstick that we use in business. Instead, we should make stakeholder value the benchmark of a company's performance. This talks to focusing on recognizing the challenges that people of the world face and also crafting a shared future in which their challenges are addressed. Now, the World Economic Forum, which many of us try to go to every year, had a wonderful theme in 2018, which said that we need to create a shared future in a fractured world. This was a recognition that the world is facing many challenges, but as business leaders, we should create a shared future. Today's stakeholders, customers, shareholders, suppliers, employees, community leaders, religious leaders, and when you come to our continent here in Africa, where we still have people living in traditional societies, traditional leaders, and just in general, society, in fact, society as a whole, they rightfully expect companies to assume greater responsibility. For example, by protecting the environment, by being advocates of climate change, fighting for social justice, aiding refugees, and training and educating workers. These are the new tasks that companies now need to embrace and to deal with. This is the way the world is going, as the majority of your own members have said in your survey. Your members, and I associate with that, to a point where I'll be willing to join your organization anytime you want me to. Now, the business of business should be to create value for society. This is a task that business leaders cannot ignore. The second task, because the fourth industrial revolution runs on knowledge, we need a concurrent revolution in training and education. Here, both government and business must join forces to provide workers with the skills and qualifications they need to participate in the digital economy, for instance, by ensuring that they are able to tap the opportunities created by artificial intelligence. I say this advisedly because I recently chaired a commission together with the Prime Minister of Sweden, where we were dealing with an issue which we called the future of work, where a clear task was identified by both business, government, and trade unions, that in the end, what employers should really be doing is to assist working people on their journey of lifelong learning, so that they are able to cope with the challenges that the fourth industrial revolution is going to impose on the world. In other words, they should skill their workers, reskill them, and upskill them as well. The third task that I believe you now have is we must encourage innovation to fuel economic growth on a continuous basis with new products and services. Business needs to lead in this regard. You should never leave research and development just to governments alone. You, as businesses, must be the ones who lead the charge. The fourth task, as leaders, we must summon the courage to address tough issues, tough questions, and there are plenty of them. How can we secure the future of those jobs that will be eliminated by machines? It's a tough question. Maybe it affects your business, but you need to be engaged with this issue. How do we create new sectors of the economy? Because the fourth industrial revolution is going to yield a number of new sectors, but it is also going to destroy a number of others. We need, as business leaders, to keep asking ourselves what those new sectors will be. And how do we address the challenges of widespread unemployment? Because unemployment is a huge threat, not only to governments, but also to your own businesses. We therefore need to be engaged with this question on an ongoing basis and ask ourselves as companies, by embarking on this project, are we going to create jobs, and how many jobs will we create? Are we going to contribute to the loss of jobs or creating more jobs? The fifth and the last task is business must remain engaged with all the key stakeholders and especially government. Relationships between business and government are often fraught with conflict. A business or businesses must always have the courage to engage government and collaborate with government, even as it might seem impossible or difficult. Business, however, should not seek to capture government. I repeat, business should not seek to capture government. Because we in South Africa have seen how, when businesses capture government, it ends up very badly. It becomes a total disaster, not only for government, but for ordinary people as well. And part of this task means that business must never be found wanting when it comes to adherence to the best of ethical values, to integrity and ethical behavior. And I say this advisedly because in our own country, as we've been going and finding our way through this state capture, blue chip companies, the bluest of blue chips, were found caught up in the web of state capture and were caught having done unethical things or deeds. And I say to this wonderful collection of people here, as the YPO, it is important that businesses must continue to be the standard bearers of good ethical behavior and the best moral rectitude at all times. In other words, business must rid itself of corrupt practices and be seen to be dealing with corruption effectively itself. Now, those are the first 5 tasks that were really inspired by this survey that 93% of your members came up with in terms of a new perspective. And it is this perspective that encapsulates those 5 tasks that has been embraced by important players in global business around the world. I am pleased that gathered here within the 4 walls of this hall tonight are men and women, members of the YPO, who are astute and who are very much aware that we all have a responsibility to work for sustainability and inclusive growth, and that as we run our businesses, we should also focus on the benefits that ordinary people can have. Let us all work together to make this world a better place for all the people who live in it. That is our collective task, and I thank you for listening to me tonight.
What we showed you there.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to take your seats. Your Excellency, I cannot speak on behalf of the 90 countries represented here this evening, but I can speak on behalf of one of them, the host country, and I know my fellow South Africans will join me in saying, sir, thank you for injecting a renewed sense of hope and possibility for every single South African. Give our President. Sir, of course, we'll be sure to send you the application forms to YPO membership as soon as possible, so you can expect that as an email. But I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, when our current president was appointed deputy president, he chose not to stay at the State House, but chose to stay at home with his children. A family man over all that he's done. I know Pascal Coker, our chairman, started his inaugural address this morning by saying YPO is all about. So we're in great company. What Pascal did mention is that success is relative. The more success you tend to have, the more relatives tend to turn up. And what he didn't say is behind every successful man is a very surprised mother. I hope. But behind every successful event, ladies and gentlemen, is a host city chair. This would not be possible without the likes of Paul Berman, which please give a big round of applause to officially thank our president.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are deeply honored that you made the time to address us tonight. And using the new YPO digital platform, my chairman next door to me has given me the authority to confer on you honorary YPO membership. But it comes with one catch. You have to join my forum. Mr. President, at the very heart of our reason for existence is a very clear purpose and a very clear set of principles that have as their objective the development of effective leaders bound together by educational programs and the exchange of ideas. What makes us different is that we are an organization of members, for members, by members. And what distinguishes us from any other organization is that we trust each other, we learn from each other, and we try and make each other better. YPO is a global community dedicated to enabling leaders to connect, engage, learn, and grow. And we could not hope for a finer example of true leadership than the manner in which you have transformed the mood of an entire nation since taking office. True leadership is seldom easy. It is about more than a simple exercise of power or the issuing of instructions. It is a sense of service and the ability to motivate, to inspire enthusiasm, emotional commitment, and the feelings of personal fulfillment. It takes enormous empathy and genuine concern for the well-being of those we lead to stir in them the desire to contribute to a greater cause. And it takes an understanding of true partnership, working together to create that greatness. And it is in this spirit of partnership that I would just like to pause and thank our sponsors who were immediately convinced by our vision of putting on a world-class conference for the business elite of the world, and had no hesitation in supporting this global conference, which is a defining moment for our country. I would like to especially thank Investec Bank. In attendance tonight is Lawrence Kaplan, the Global Chairman of Investec Private Bank, and Richard Weinraught, the Chief Executive Officer of Investec South Africa. From Coca-Cola, we have Mr. Bruno Patrici, President of South and East Africa Regions, who recently, I understand, became a YPO member. And from Mercedes, we have Mr. Selden Govender, the Marketing Director. Thank you so much to all of you for your commitment to our vision of leadership. Mr. President, I believe that YPO leaders are those who use their influence to change the world and improve the quality of life for all. We are leaders who will leave the world and our environment in a better state than we inherited it. We are leaders who know when and what needs to be done and how to lead people on the correct path, so that the unexpected challenges actually favor us. We are leaders who know how to identify and harness the intellect and ability of ordinary people and encourage them to do extraordinary things. We are leaders who create, live, and believe in the values of honesty, respect, and integrity every day of our lives and know how to give voice to them. And we are leaders who set the stage for compassion, forgiveness, and understanding to thrive. And we are leaders who build humility and trust and never fear to acknowledge it. Critically, we are influential leaders who will take your message of hope back home with us. Mr. President, you have inspired South Africans to seek opportunities to selflessly serve their fellow countrymen and women. and you have taken the words of the late great Hugh Masekela, Tuma Mina, send me, and made them the signature theme of your presidency. You will recall when I wrote you and said that we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to present South Africa to this exceptional group of business leaders and to demonstrate after a period of adverse international publicity how we are overcoming our challenges. We have a chance to show, as you set out in your State of the Nation address last year, that we are a nation at one, committed to work, to build, to change, and to progress. I believe all of us gathered here tonight can draw inspiration from your example of exceptional leadership and seek, as we return to our regions and organizations, opportunities to serve and to better the world. Mr. President, you have demonstrated how it is possible for an entire nation from a period of broken trust and deep despair and to believe again in a better future. Most remarkably, you have helped us to understand that the responsibility lies with us, that we each have to lend a hand if we are to make a difference and change the course of our future for the better. You have encouraged each of us to put up our hands and volunteer ourselves to be in the front line of change, to call out in the face of adversity, send me. This is a model of leadership that I believe we can all emulate by accepting that to lead is first and foremost about igniting belief and helping our people to see a place and a role for themselves in a greater endeavor. As our beloved first democratic President Nelson Mandela said, the time has come to accept in our hearts and minds that with freedom comes responsibility. And there can be no greater responsibility than the realization that the shape of the future depends on our individual actions today. As such, we must strive, each in our own way, to leave the world a better place than we found it. It is through our discrete endeavors, combined with those of fellow humans, that we can create a groundswell of momentum, and that individual positive actions will inspire further effort around them, building into an unstoppable force for good. I believe the YPO leaders gathered here are all exceptional individuals who understand the responsibility to their people, their organizations, the environment, and humanity. And I hope they will leave our shores inspired by the experiences here in South Africa. We, the people of South Africa, have an outstanding leader in our president, and we are exceptionally proud to be South African. I believe we will show the world once again that the principles of democracy, freedom, respect, the rule of law, and shared human progress run deep in our nation. Mr. President, it was Albert Schweitzer who said, "Sometimes our light goes out, but it is blown into a flame by another human being." You, Mr. President, have ignited that flame and has inspired not just a nation, but also the leaders in this room from the nations the world over. It is our great privilege to have you as our guest here tonight, for which we are immensely grateful. And it is my belief that because of your leadership, our YPO family will now leave Cape Town and South Africa after this conference, invigorated, inspired and motivated, and will help support and change the perception of this great country, and for this we thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, and my YPO family, please rise, raise your glasses, and accept with me the burden of leadership that has been bestowed on each and every person in this room in the great words adopted by our President, "Send me." Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, before you take your seats, why don't you stay standing as we give Presidents Kagame and President Ramaphosa a chance to take their leave, and let's let them leave with a rousing applause. Thank you so much.